We are red, red is on.
So, good evening and welcome to Thursday, July 18th, 2019, Selectmen's meeting. Stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got the minutes of 6:27 and 7:11. I guess we can start with the 6:27 minutes.
Did you say June?
Yeah.
June 27th? Page 2 of 3, 100 feet DPW report, Director Duval. 1 to 3rd paragraph, Selectman Constantino, it's 150th, not 105. Technicality.
Jumping fingers.
Just out to where.
Under 2 paragraphs, Jeannie reported J.P. Carter, that paragraph, there was a question of staffing in the Public Works Department, confirmed he was confidently staffed at this time. The second to the last paragraph under DPW report. Kind of 2 thoughts in the same paragraph here. Confirmed he was confident with the staffing at this time. It's just the way it's worded. He was confident with the staffing at this time.
Going just down on the police department, very first line, officer, Lumberjack had been accepted to the Belknap team. Belknap what? Just so most people won't know what it is.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I said I thought it was lead, but I'm not sure, so I'll
it's
check.
SWAT.
SWAT?
Yeah, they call it now.
There's a different name now for SWAT. It's
Emergency response or something?
we'll get it for you.
When they asked him, he did say,
Yeah, that's right.
is, but,
Frankly,
yeah.
He'll answer me in a second. Can we, under Selectmen's reports, Selectman Constantino passed along a concern from residents. Please, it's not my concern.
Where we concerned, where we at?
The Buffalo Park,
Selectmen's reports, page 33.
So, Pat passed along a residence concern.
so there were two residents that approached me about, their concern about having, conservation or parks to whomever does it, thinning out Buffalo Park, and I told them I would bring it up at the meeting, so if you just say a resident's concern,
How about pass along two residents concerns?
yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Because it's, the way it's written here, it sounds like it's my concern, and it's not really.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, June 27th, as correct.
Any more time?
So, under Selectmen's reports, once again, it's sort of like, just, Pat mentioned that the yard sale plan at the senior center on August 10th, tables of $20, and then right away it goes in, she commented that there were fireworks going off in her neighborhood. It's sort of like a disjointed thing, it's two separate thought processes. The fireworks are still going off on our neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there was a policeman that came up and took care of one of them.
How about Pat also mentioned that there were still fireworks going off.
And that we need to have some type of enforcement. And it's Belknap County Special Operations Unit.
Belknap County.
Special Operation Unit.
That's not new, right? That's been there quite a while.
It used to be, what,
No, it wasn't the
SOU?
Southern New Hampshire Special Operations Unit.
SOU.
The county always had their own.
Yeah, it's been there for a while.
We used to house the equipment at Business Park Drive.
Yeah, that was Southern
Any
New
other
Hampshire
changes to the
Special-
minutes? Any other changes to the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And July 11th.
Motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, July 11th as presented.
Second.
So we have motion and a second.
Just have a couple of corrections. So just on the first page, where it says the board executed the unlicensed dog warrant, Selectman Dawson moved, seconded by Selectman Fogg, blah, blah, blah. Allowed the chair to sign the whole agreement from Consolidated Communications. That's all.
So it needs a D.
Yes, and it needs the word communications.
Okay, I withdraw my motion. I will make a motion now to accept the minutes of July 11th as correct.
Motion and the second. Yes, correct. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We just go right into the non-public for employee performance reviews. Go into non-public for RSA 91-A:3. A, dismissal, promotion, and compensation of public employee.
Second.
Roll call vote, so. Pat?
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We're red is on. Make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they yeah, all right, as they pertain to personnel issues, permanently.
So we motion second.
We can make an announcement.
After we do the,
Okay, make sure that we remember that.
Yeah. That's why I was stumbling.
Thank you.
So we have motion
We
and
normally don't, last time we didn't make it.
a motion and a second to seal the minutes of the non-public because they pertain to personnel. Permanent. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thanks. Thanks for waiting.
That's true.
Okay, so that's it. Will you on out? We can hear you. The air conditioner kind of drowns out our voices.
You're not signing this one, or you just didn't, you're not signing?
There. So, okay, so, you're here, and it's regarding the fire station. Sure. You guys have some ideas.
Well, thank you for having us tonight, hearing us out. And what,
Yeah.
Need to talk into the mic, please.
all right. Is that better? All right. Thank you for having us tonight and hearing our request for possible use of land on Sanborn Road for a possible fire station in the future. We have a building committee put together right now that's another one. And one of the things that they might be looking at is possibly using, if the town of Tilton were willing to collaborate with us, a piece of the property on Sanborn Road where the football field is for the use of a fire station, or a future fire station site. And we just wanted to bring that to the Board of Selectmen to see, how they felt about it, and, maybe to consider it as a future plan going forward. The committee is meeting currently. They haven't really gotten off the dime yet on exactly what they want to do. They're still researching different scenarios and have not come up with any solid plan yet. My suspicion is that they're heavily leaning on using Park Street as because we own that site, but they're also looking at having a two fire station solution rather than one fire station because of the way our call volume is and where it is and stuff like that, and the availability of land. The unavailability of land, really, to build one station in a centrally located area that would serve the whole fire district. So it may end up being a two-station solution, but they haven't really gotten to that point yet. But we want to keep our options open, and we're just requesting that you consider the possibility of us using a piece of that portion of land over there.
Do you have a potential design for a fire station that just might happen to fit on that piece of property, or are you just fishing?
So the committee is looking at, if we do a one fire station solution, it's probably a building that's about 18,000 square feet on a single level, most of that being garage space. If it's a two fire station solution, we're going to need about 21,000 square feet, because you have to duplicate some things, such as, kitchens, bunk rooms, that type of stuff. No, so if you divided that 21,000 into two, it could be anywhere from the middle of that, or a little heavy on one side and a little lighter on the other side, depending upon where they put certain programs, training or administration and stuff like that.
The town meeting voted to buy the property, you understand, the football field.
Well, yeah, I was at that meeting, and I didn't really take it that, I took it that the football field that could remain as an option, but not necessarily as a definite. That was my interpretation when I was there.
The question was asked outright and answered yes.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's what I took away from it.
Because I think I answered it.
Dan?
When does the fire committee expect to have answers on this?
The Fire Commission charged the committee to come up with a recommendation in September. I think that's going to be hard to do because of all the work that needs to be done and the amount of time left to do it, but that's what the Fire Commission has charged the committee to do.
To come up with an answer for a place in Tilton and/or a place in both places?
I don't think their charge was to come up with a place. Their charge was to come up with a scenario, whether it's one station, two stations. If it's two stations, what programs go where, what would fit where, not necessarily locations.
So are you putting all your eggs in one basket and coming to the board because you know that we've just purchased a piece of property that may fit a small fire station next to our potential police station now? Is that why? Are you only looking at that one piece of property, or are you looking at many pieces of property in Tilton?
So we're not looking at a whole lot of pieces of property, but it's more than one at this time. We have done an awful lot of looking previously to this in the previous committee and the year after that as well. And as you be well aware, there's not a whole lot available for what we would be looking for and what would be suitable for a fire station.
So I'm kind of, this is very convoluted for me, and it's very difficult for me to even speak at this. However, I'm going to try to articulate it the best I can. I know that we need a fire station. I know that we need a substation that's going to take care of East Tilton, and we're in desperate need of that. Having said that, we are also in need of a police station, and we've tried very, very hard, especially my tenure here as a select person. And timing is everything. We've just purchased a building, a piece of land, and our momentum right now in going forward, our committee is on a very, very strong momentum in getting our design, build, and architect, everything in line for our 2020 town meeting. Your plan and your unanswered questions in committees would, for a lack of better word, sabotage that endeavor. And I'm not willing to say yes to that, your question tonight, on that basis. However, I am willing to say, in the event that our police station is passed, that I would be more than willing to look at the prospect and proposal that you bring forth in 2021 after our police station is passed on what could be possible if there's room enough. But we did go to the taxpayers last year, and we did say, I was one that stood up and said that the football field would stay there. So we would have to ask at 2020 meeting if they, as part of our police station proposal, that in the future, if that was feasible. So it's kind of a roundabout answer for you personally from me. I know that we need that, but I'm not willing to bank all of our work on our PD for the sake of going to town meeting with a proposal for the PD and then saying, well, you know what, the fire department wants this, but they don't know where they want it, but they think that they want it maybe, and it's going to be bigger than the PD next to the PD, because yours is 18,000 square feet, ours is 11,000 square feet. You just said 18,000. And then there's 11,000 square feet, but they don't really have that answer, but we might have that answer, and they'll say, no, we want the answers. We've gone through this for 10 years, Mike. And so based on that, my answer would be, when and if they pass it at 2020 town meeting, after that, I'll be more than willing to sit down and I'd even be willing to be a part of the committee.
Well, thank you for your comment. I agree the police station is sorely needed, but I also see that the police station and the fire station as two separate issues. But I can understand where you're coming from, being a resident of the town of Tilton and a taxpayer and a voter as well, and I can understand where some people could be confused voting on two different possibilities on the same parcel at the same time. I understand that. At the same time, if we were to build two stations, the station size that you just said, 18,000, on the police station property, I think you'd be closer to 7,000 would probably be more accurate.
But now we just went from 18,000 to 7,000, so.
Well, that's because the rest of it, I'm guessing, ended up at Park Street, where you would have two fire stations, one at Park Street and one here in Tilton.
I don't feel that we can accurately make a decision based on guesses. We really can't do that, Mike, not for the sake of our taxpayers here in the town of Tilton. We cannot make decisions based on guesses. You don't have facts and you don't have figures.
Well, I guess we're not asking you to make a decision tonight. We're just asking you to have that as a consideration and a possibility for the future. We're not coming here tonight saying, yes, we want an answer, yes or no. We want you to be able to consider it and, for a future, for when and if we do come here, we want to make you aware that that's one of the things that we are looking at, and hopefully that we would be, heard in a more detailed fashion when the committee is finished and when the commissioners either accept their recommendation or come up with their own recommendation.
Go ahead, sir.
I support the best use of the property that we purchased on Sanborn Road. I'm not so sure that a football field is that. However, like Pat said, you're planting a seed. I appreciate that. This isn't the end of it, so I'll take it under advisement. I support the best use of the property. Let's just say that.
Anybody else? And thanks for coming up and get this good. People a lot of thinking about and work, see what we come up with.
Sure, I understand that, municipal facilities are something that are heavily thought about, and trying to finance and see what's best for the municipality in the long range is very difficult. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is not a surprise to me, so thank you for hearing
Yes,
us.
thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, let's see, we have,
Jesse
Jesse.
has half his time. He's lost his first
come
second
on,
and a half.
come on down, Jesse.
Talk fast.
We're running exactly 7 minutes behind on everything. So, heard something about some changes to the ordinance, make it a little more teeth to it.
Yeah, so one of the things that I was asked to do was if ordinances sort of cross my desk or get to a point where they need review by me as the prosecutor in the town, then I would do that. And so one of the things that has been brought to my attention is the fine that's associated with companies that come into town who fail to request a detail. The fine at this point is $250, and the reason why that was a little bit concerning to me is because if a company comes in and it's determined that they do need an officer as far as a detail unit, then let's say they're out there for a half an hour. They have to pay for a 4-hour minimum. That 4-hour minimum is $280, so you're already higher than the fine that would be incurred by that company. And so really they're incentivized not to get a detail because it would be cheaper to pay the fine, or they would get closed down and they could come another day. So that was the point that I wanted to just address with the board. There's other permits that are required in this town. So for instance, if you're an individual and you want to do some hawking or peddling around town and you don't have a permit, then the individual is charged $500. It's my understanding that companies usually have deeper pockets than individuals, so the $250 just doesn't seem to fit the crime.
It was zero at the end.
Right?
Isn't the violation language there say up to $1,000 and every day is $1,000?
Yes, so a violation under New Hampshire law is up to $1,000. So what I had proposed is if a company comes in and they're actually charged a fine, then maybe we could do increments, because I can tell you that most of the companies are not charged a fine. They're usually just shut down by the police department. If, for instance, an officer goes out and a supervisor determines that the road shut down, they didn't have a detail unit out there, they didn't request a detail, so they're usually shut down instead of the fine. But I would suggest something like an increment. So the first fine, if we're going to issue a town ordinance violation, would be $500, then $750, and then $1,000. I think that seems appropriate to start, especially with companies. So that would be my suggestion.
I have a question. How many fines have we issued?
So the fines, I went back and looked, we haven't issued fines, but the tactic that we've taken so far is to shut down the detail and then require them to come back. Usually it's the next day because the companies have to go up the chain of command and talk to their supervisors. So if they have to come back because they haven't finished the job, then they would come back the next day and then hire their the required detail or uniformed officer.
So wouldn't it be beneficial to fine them and then also charge them for the 4-hour minimum detail the next day? So they are actually paying more had they not just gotten the detail to begin with. Because if we make ordinances and we just let them go, and if the $500 fine, we go and do that with that one, we're still not accomplishing anything. Whereas if we do the $250 and then make them come back, we get the benefit by it.
So I agree with that, and I think one of the things is that the last paragraph in the ordinance that's currently listed, it's worded in sort of an ambiguous manner about the fine. So I think that that should be addressed as well, because what it says is that in the event any provision of this section is violated, the Director of Public Works or Chief of Police is empowered to issue a work stoppage order against the contractor or his or her employees, which is usually what happens. Such work stoppage shall remain in effect until there is strict compliance of it's supposed to be the ordinance, even though it says he ordinance. And then after that, the next sentence says, in addition, the fine amount shall not exceed $250 per day and shall be assessed each day that the violation continues. I think that that can be interpreted as meaning the first day you have to be shut down, and then if you come back another day, then you can be issued the fine. I think it would be appropriate if they could be shut down and issued that fine on the same day. Most of these companies know the policies. Generally, they are repeat offenders. It's not uncommon to have the repeats, and so they know that they're supposed to have a detail unit.
What about the mistakes? I'm not used to working until we didn't know that I needed an officer detail. It's ignorance of the law, any excuse at this point.
It's a violation, so you don't have to prove a mental state, so no.
I think he's right.
I know he's right.
Jesse, what is the detail? Is that
So it's listed, if you go to the ordinances that are listed, yeah, on,
highway policy regulation?
yeah.
I have a copy of it.
I did.
And a public comment.
Just a question.
Question.
Is our ordinance, sorry, I didn't read it.
That's okay.
Do they have to have uniform, or can they hire a third party to provide a traffic control or any of this?
They can have a certified flagger.
So they
But
can hire
a
a third
discussion has to take place, the language in this discussion needs to take place with the chief of police, or public works director.
So there are a couple exceptions in our town ordinance. So for instance, if it's a New Hampshire state agency, then they are exempt from the statute. So oftentimes you might see like New Hampshire DOT on Route 3 doing painting in the lines. They are not required to have a uniformed officer. There's also other exceptions for town departments. So if we have a town department that's doing something in the roadway, it specifically says that they don't need a uniformed officer. They can have flaggers, which is part of the reason why we've sent some of our town employees to the flagging school. I can tell you that the police officers too are actually required to go to flagging training, so they have that at the Police Standards and Training Council at the police academy for the officers to go to, and we require that our officers go to that flagging course. It's a 4-hour course to be a certified flagger in the state. But it also does carve out an exception even for the town departments in our ordinance, which I think is a good idea, that says, you know, if it's going to seriously inhibit the flow of traffic or close down a road, then that department should speak to the chief of police to determine whether or not just having our own town flaggers is enough, or if we need to have a uniformed police officer out there as well.
You've been on Cedar Street this week?
We had the road closed tonight.
Yep.
Total road closed. No flaggers.
It's been closed all day.
No flaggers. None.
They stopped me.
No flaggers tonight going home from work tonight.
Yeah, but they're not there, are they?
Oh yeah, they were working, digging.
They hit ledge.
Digging.
They hit ledge.
So, we're a little behind.
I would make a motion to accept Jesse's changes in this ordinance. Would you write them? Write that paragraph?
I would.
Make it so, I think.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to oppose it, just because we have ordinances that we do not enforce, and I can't see going forward saying something doesn't work if we haven't even tried to find one.
I would make one other suggestion, I think it's grammatical. In second to the last paragraph, this ordinance shall not apply to town and Tilton departments such as sewer or highway. However, town departments or his or her designee, can we put however town department heads? So that it's specific who's going to consult with the chief of police? It should be the department head.
I would agree, but I can't make that determination.
And let's put the T on HE, that ordinance.
So, we approved it, we're going to amend it, so when you get the final draft, we'll bring it back and we'll sign it. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Have a great
Thanks.
evening.
Thank you.
Jesse, less than 10 minutes with you. What's up?
Now we're back.
I'm learning.
Jesse, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board, you know, showing the initiative and bringing this forward is great.
Yeah, thanks.
So thanks.
Take care. Have a good evening.
Okay, so, let's see what else we have. Well, we have some community service here. Pat, do you have
I do.
something?
This is a very important evening tonight. So we have two youngsters in our town of Tilton, fourth graders. They're both going into the fourth grade. We have Kaylin Currier and Kane St. Hilaire. So their idea was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, their idea was they wanted to build a lemonade stand, and through that lemonade stand they wanted to sell their lemonade, but all of their donations every day that they sold their lemonade was going to a special charity, right? And we are so proud that you have done this and given back to your community in a special, very special way. The Board of Selectmen wanted to reward you, acknowledge you for a Community Service Award. So why don't you come on up here with us? So Kaylin Currier and Kane St. Hilaire, imagine fourth graders thinking about making lemonade in the hot, hot sun, making their own lemonade stand, and then donating all their proceeds to charity. What, the first one was autism, right? Awareness for autism, and the second one was to Every Child is Ours. And what are you going to do the third night? Well, say it again. People who have disasters in their home. Great job.
So how much total have you raised so much, how much so far have you raised for charities? $200 for lemonade. Awesome job. Awesome job. Great job. She's going to be in the paper. So when's the next lemonade stand going to be open? Next weekend, when all the when all the loaders and everything are out of your driveway, right? Right? They're literally in your yard now, right? So we got to find an alternate place for you while they're digging up your driveway, right? Yeah. Well, the soccer field, that's a great idea. All right, great job, right? Great job. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't let that guy ask questions.
Thanks, you.
Ball and rolling.
Right now, we're ahead.
I was waiting for the go-ahead from the chairman.
Yeah, actually, right before that, it's not quite a selectmen's report, but I received a call, and it's not the first time, that when we had our meeting, the things that we discussed were not on the agenda specifically. Last week, we had a meeting which was non-public, and after that, we took some votes on 3 items. It was the gas,
Right.
the electric.
Right. So it was, we only had on the agenda non-public. We finished early, we came out of non-public and had a discussion. I did my report, you did your selectmen's report. And there were 3 things that you voted on. And so,
And I had a discussion with that. I had gotten calls previously when that came up, and the next meeting, we re-voted.
Yep.
So unfortunately, this time, we did this similar thing again, and Tim needed to move forward in that. So checked under the municipal legal inquiries at New Hampshire Municipal, and they came back with some interesting information. Actually, I asked Virginia to check up on it.
yeah, so sure, yes, I got that call as well, and I did check with NHMA, and basically all you're required, and I'm sure you all know this anyway, just as a reminder, all you're required to do is post the notice that you're having a meeting. You are not required to post an agenda. You, as a select board, do that as a courtesy to the community, which I think is great. A lot of select boards don't do that. So just by virtue of that, you've gone above and beyond. Therefore, what you did last week was not illegal, because it didn't have to be posted in the first place. So there was a request to take the votes over, or a suggestion that the votes needed to be taken over because they were not part of the initial agenda. So.
Here's a copy of the email from the municipal on it. So it was, I learned something here. So any comments or anybody want to talk about this?
I think it's great that people are all watching.
And I would like to have every single thing that we have done properly and on the agenda, but unfortunately, sometimes the things come up, and they're time sensitive.
And the fact that you did that work in public, you clearly weren't trying to hide anything, right? So,
So that was my little bit before Jeannie goes into her administrative report.
okay, thank you. So, we did send out a solicitation for collective bargaining agreement negotiations for the CBA that's coming up in June of 2020. We sent out to 11. We received 7 proposals back. I've made copies for each of you. You have that in front of you. What I would recommend is that you take those documents and review them, and next week we can have a discussion about it. Tim and I are also looking at them and happy to come back with our recommendation, but I would think that you'd want to read through these, come back and tell us what you think, and select who you want to come forward and interview. Yeah.
How many do we want to interview? Board. In the past, we've interviewed those that have sent in. So I'm asking, what Jeannie's suggesting to us is for us to look them over and then kind of pick out the ones we want to have interviewed. How many do you want to have? Is there a cutoff?
I don't know.
That's what
Might
I'm
have to
asking
read
the
it
board.
first.
Well, we see if we
Might not
get
like
somebody
any of
on a
them.
call, and then when they say
The-
no, we
the-
want.
I mean, they all have, in looking at them, they all have most, with the exception of one, most have addressed the requirements of the solicitation that we put forward. The range of the hourly rate goes anywhere from $180 an hour to $300 an hour.
Your pals, Joe.
But also, what are they gonna do for that?
In the past,
What could they do for
Right.
$300 an hour?
but in the past, we have found that what's on paper is very different than the personality in what you get as far as.
You're correct, and I think that's important for,
It's very important in
in the
negotiations.
negotiations.
Well, I
Right.
think we need to read these
Who did we use the last time?
and decide.
What's that?
Who did we use the last time? Any of these people?
Yes. And I made sure
Last two
that,
times.
yes.
That was marked down, that the one we used before?
It is not marked there.
Okay, well, I'll find out so I can look at that one and see what they're proposing specifically.
Yes,
Based on what I know the contract did to
that's
us
what
this
it
time.
was.
This one really.
It is marked on their cover sheet.
Okay.
So if you're,
Oh, that guy, I remember that guy.
does that process work for all of you?
I think so, I'd like to
Yeah.
have the
It works for
opportunity
me.
to take a look.
You're quite right.
So the only other things that I have are really non-public, and it's just to finish off what we started last week with reviews. I have one other review that I did this past week.
I can't hear you. I hear you.
I said, I need a non-public to finish up what I started last week with you for the performance reviews. And then I have one additional review that I have not brought forward that I'm ready to tonight. So maybe, since we have public here, I don't know if you want to do your selectmen's reports and then do this at the end.
Yeah, we do that. Selectmen's report. Sound good, everybody? Good with you? Want me to go around?
Almost there.
You all set?
Pass. I'm good.
All I had was that other thing you brought up. Just a reminder that we do have the tube regatta coming up. I'm not sure if anybody has checked to see how much water will be flowing in the river at that time. you can make pre-arrangements, but, because I've literally had to like walk down that road before, so it could be a little bit of an issue. And I think they need days advance.
No, with the whitewater, in 2 days, they went up like 2 feet, and in 2 days, they dropped it 2 feet.
So about,
Right, Joe?
Oh, yeah, they do.
we'll need at least 24 hours or so to
Wash away everything on the beach.
Yeah.
to a specific.
It's low right now,
volume,
too.
500 or 600.
It's low.
So it is low now.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to call DOT back, if you remember,
You
they,
can talk to Dan, he's the dam man at the Dam Bureau.
I love that guy, the Dam Bureau.
I forget his last name.
but beyond that, what I was mentioning was the fact that we want DOT to come back and look at the, you know, the concern of the erosion that we had. So they said wait till the water drops. So if what I'm hearing you say, now is the time to have them back.
Probably DOT.
Water's pretty low, but it
It's a
gets
half
so
day.
it's a trickle.
It's a half a foot above the normal low level. It's about 464 and a quarter.
Because what they had said was August, they would come back in August.
Yeah, that's
It-
probably
Actually,
right.
the water goes back deeper in August.
Okay, so
So
ask
they-
them now.
Yeah. they
Isn't
might
the
want to-
regatta next weekend?
It's the 20th, yes.
So we should be calling them up and telling them, asking them when they're putting the water up. I was
Yep.
told they lowered it in anticipation of the storm,
It's been
but
low.
I was told that.
It's been.
I don't know if that's so.
Aren't they just basically keeping the level right at Governor's Island?
Kinda.
That's all they care about.
Winnipesaukee is gotta be kept full.
Exactly.
Wasn't gonna go
They're
there.
squeezing the water in Lakeport shit.
And that's the only thing I had for the selectmen report. Peter?
Check the town website, household hazardous waste pickups are coming up the last Saturday of July, I think first Saturday in August, multiple locations around for us, Franklin, DPW, and I think it's the Belmont Fire Station are the two closest ones.
I have two questions. One is, the painting of whatever you call it down by the T-Hop, or Big Sewer, whatever it is.
Pump station?
No, it's not, it's a,
Interceptor that isn't in it, but it's not.
Siphon.
where were we?
September.
September,
Yep.
okay. The other question I have is that my tenant is one of them, and then I noticed there's two on Cedar Street. Last week, Penard picked up the black trash, and you know, the arm that comes out and picks them up, cracked the whole side of the garbage pail, whatever you call it. I mean, cracked it to a point where it's not gonna hold much. So, does the town have to put a new one up there, or what, how does that process happen?
Call Tony.
Or
Yeah,
does
that's
Tony?
I'll
Tony will
replace it.
take care of it.
Yeah, yeah. I would expect if they broke it, like Catherine said, they need to fix it, but we can
Well,
call
this
Tony.
this is huge, huge. So it's, all right, so call Tony. I would tell the neighbors up on Cedar Street.
Do you have an address, or a specific address where these were?
26 Cedar, 26, I think, 28 Cedar.
So he did it twice?
Three times actually.
Three.
And then 9 Maple Court.
Okay.
9's pretty bad. The Tilton School wall on Route 3, we usually contact them when it's kind of overhangs that the people can't walk on the wall because of the brushes. I noticed going to work the other day that there were people walking and they had to duck down.
They walk on the wall?
The
side.
sidewalk,
Oh.
but there's
Stuff
that
overhangs
stone
it.
wall, there's overgrow, brush and trees that hang over to the sidewalk, and they come and they clean it. It's not real bad, but there's a couple that are hanging over.
It starts blocking the
So it's
speed
usually,
limit signs.
Right, it's usually Fred I have a number for him if you need it.
I'll just call the Tilton
Yep.
School.
That's it for me.
Anything else? That's it. So to make, and this is going to be for personnel. So I'll make the motion that we go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3. Personnel would be A, dismissal, promotion, compensation, of public employee.
Second. Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes?
Scanlon, yes.
You just did it. Second.
Ready?
Wait, she's got it.
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah, are we on?
Yes, we're on. Red is on.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public as they pertain to personnel. Permanent meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved?
No. We'll make that motion. We have one more thing. We promised we would announce the land use coordinator.
We haven't hired
We
anyone.
don't have it yet. We don't have them yet. We haven't made the
Okay.
agreement yet.
There's one more thing. Can we make a motion to unseal the portion of the non-public, was it last week?
Housing standards.
Of the housing standard ordinance?
That would be nice. Well, I think the decision
The
should-
decision.
The
The
decision
decision.
should be unsealed.
So I make a motion that we unseal the portion of the non-public minutes of July 11th Selectmen's meeting that pertain to the decision of the housing standard ordinance.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved?
And then.
Motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Oh,
Nobody
okay.
seconded.
You better hurry.
There's no second.
I just wanted to kind of circle back to you, because I think you all got an email from the Northfield.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
So, if you recall, the electrical, I just kind of want to go back a little bit, and they have, the new town administrator let me know that she was recommending to the selectmen in Northfield not to pay their half of the electrical work that was done on the island. She came back to me and said that they are not paying, she confirmed that they are not paying their half of the electrical. And then, I don't know, a day or two later, we got the email that you all got saying the residents and the selectmen are
Anxious.
anxiously awaiting the transfer of the island and wanted to know if there was a deadline. And I will tell you that it is something I've been working on. It's, it's very involved.
What about the lawyer correspondence?
Right, and so if we want to hire an attorney to do this and ask Northfield to pay half, it could be moved along quicker.
We told town meeting that it wouldn't be.
But there's nothing lost if it takes a little time and we save taxpayers' dollars.
Right.
Because the island is used by all. The only difference is we are gonna own the whole island and the whole debt. So I say save the taxpayers' money. They're not gonna pay half.
How much was the electric bill?
At the end of the day, it was like 900.
And what was the reason? Because we don't own they don't want to own the island? That was the
Well,
only reason why they didn't?
So if you remember what happened was, John identified that there were issues with the electrical. I called Josh Carter, and then to let him know, and then I called over to
Northfield.
Northfield, and I documented it because it said, the email that I had sent to her said, J.P. Carter was contacted on the 27th about electrical work on the island. I contacted you on June 28th to let you know about the work and that it needed to be done before the first concert. That same day, per our conversation, I asked our DPW director to call your DPW director about the work. I hope this helps because when I first called her on the phone, she said, well, the agreement says that you will confer with us beforehand. And I said, I understand that, but this is kind of an emergency situation, and so I'm just letting you know. Kevin did say he did call and did not get a return phone call back. She says he never called.
Okay. All right, we'll eat it.
But just, this was an emergent situation. We have a lot of public showing up to use it. We had light posts that weren't functioning properly, a stage that
Safety,
wasn't
yeah.
functioning properly, an outlet that was exposed to weather, sticking up, and for safety reasons, at this time, Northfield, if somebody got injured by it, would be named as a, would have been in it. So we were protecting their best interest to have it safe, and so be it.
This is one of those little thorns that like
It's not.
Whatever.
Send it to
So-
you,
You're
slap
right.
them with a
Had to
bill
be done.
last minute.
You're
Right.
absolutely right.
And so I just wanted to circle back again to the email and the transfer. It is something I'm working on. It's, if I'm gonna be doing it so that we're not paying attorneys, it will take longer. It's not a one and done type of thing.
You don't mind working on it?
I
You have
don't,
the time.
well, it's, no,
With everything else that
yeah.
goes on in
I
town.
mean, there are priorities, right? Nothing is ever easy, it seems, the timetable Mabel, I'm still working on that. So everything, gets attention, but you wait, you make an inquiry, you wait, then you follow up. So it doesn't happen just like that. I guess I just wanted you to know that I am working on it, but it's not the top priority.
Got it.
Unless you tell me otherwise. If you tell me, I'm happy to do it. If you tell me to drop everything else I'm doing and work on that, happy to do it.
I'm all for saving
Or
money.
likewise, if you find that it's something that you would rather take it off your plate so you could accomplish other things, because it's just
Yeah.
one of those.
Well, it really is all about you and the sense of urgency that you have to get this to happen. I mean, it would be nice to have this done before next town meeting.
Yes.
It would.
And that's the goal. But you remember, I'm also working on getting this repair over here. So,
Economic development,
yes.
that is so important.
Are we ready now? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.